Oh, that took a lot longer. It was a lot more difficult to get off than I was hoping. I'd forgotten when we put it back on, when I put the gearbox on in the first place, the firewall here, there's a bit of an outcrop from the bell housing where the starter motor can sit in, and unfortunately it clashes with the bulkhead there. It's very tight, so getting it in, I'm gonna have to like, I have no idea what I'm gonna do. So I'm doing this over a couple of days. So obviously this is day 2. Managed to get it off yesterday. Today, it's transfer everything over to the new box. Get some oil in the new box. And then get it all back on the car. New clutch, new pressure plate, new bearing. The problem I had with the old pressure plate, you can't really see it very well on the camera, but these are all supposed to be uniform. They're supposed to be the same size. When they wear, they reach outwards towards the gearbox. But I don't think that's what's happened here, because it looks pretty new. Yet some of the splines are malformed and are reaching, they're not the same. They're not the same is what I'm saying. So that's junk. So I've got one with a smaller, it'll be a bit of a stiffer clutch, but be harder to fuck them up, I think. We'll see. I'll probably be back in there again. But that's part of it, I suppose. So first things first, I've just changed the bearing over on the fucking hell, the release bearing, and now I'm just moving everything over to the new gearbox. Bloody hell. I haven't got oil in that. They're both C-type and C-type. They're both Suffolk C gearboxes. So there's nothing vastly different between the two. The only thing is that this one is starting to struggle to select second gear. It doesn't enjoy going straight into it. It's a bit of a fight. And same with all their different sizes. Same with the reverse. So right, that's top left, middle left, top right is different size again. Doesn't seem very right. So yeah, and you might be asking again, why, what are you doing? Why? It was fine. No, it wasn't fine. Those splines that were different lengths, sizes, sorry, were reaching out, and the release bearing was touching, so that the release bearing was in constant velocity, bro. It was constantly moving middle right, and it was wearing prematurely. And of course, I've got international weekend in Telford with the owners club for this Jensen Healey, and this weekend, and also I've got the Le Mans Classic next weekend, which will be about 600 odd miles there. Yeah, it's going to be a mish. So I need this to be right. And then in this is going to be awkward. In August of this year as well, there's another little trip planned, which is a little bit of a surprise. I'm not going to give too much away. But it's going to be a long old bloody road trip, long and short of it. So yeah, I need to do the work now and get this right now. So that's what I'm doing. Excuse me. The only parts I'm gonna need to, the only thing that was quite awkward that I was struggling with was underneath getting it off. All those years ago when I put the gearbox on, I forgot how difficult it was. Bottom left, Frank. I forgot how difficult it was getting the gearbox on because there's a small part of the bulkhead which loves getting in the way of this. And it's an absolute mish. So I might have to take the Persuader 9000 and make some preliminary bridge work towards the firewall so that this is a little bit easier next time. Oh, fucking thing. Get in there. Oh. Bloody hell. That was on there. So right, I didn't film me taking it off because, well, I'm just going to say it was really awkward, and I forgot. And it got to a point where I was under the car trying to get the gearbox off. I thought, rather than have my phone over there filming it, I thought, if this drops on me and I get pinned or something bad happens, I would prefer to have my phone on me. So yeah, I didn't film that bit because I got a little bit nervous. But going back on, I've got a plan to go back on, so I'll try and film that for you. I don't know how educational it'll be. I don't know how many other Jensen Healey V8s there are with a Rover V8 in that will need to know that information. But just in case there are, bottom right with an extra washer on for some reason. There's my rubber big boy. My rubber big boy. Right. Good. You can see also on the gear remote, this was all over the shop, and I thought it was these rubber bushes, which it isn't because they're fine. There was some bolts in the underside of here that were missing, and I put some new ones in and they backed out, and one's missing and one's halfway out. So the bushes on this one are a lot better, but some of the rubber's perished, so I'm going to move some of these over there as well. In fact, I might move the whole remote over. I don't know yet. Yeah, I'll see you in a bit. Right, well, it's going well so far. I've changed over the gear remotes, greased everything up, changed over all the bushes, all the nice bits off the other one, changed that over. Just changing over the engine mount and the plate, the cross member now. I was having a quick look at the suffixes and the serial numbers on the gearbox. This new one's a suffix D, so it's widely regarded as a better box than the C, mostly. They're very similar, but small improvements over time, over its construction manufacture. They made marginal improvements through the LT77 gearboxes until they got to the R380. I think it was basically like, let's make a modern equivalent of this box, but just better. That's like it had ran its production run pretty much. I don't want it on too tight, but I want it on tight enough. Okay, good. A little bit more, one more foot. So I'm almost ready to get oil in this and to get it on the engine again, or try to. Just need to get the bell housing back on. I'll clean that up actually, and then I've got some, yeah, a few more bits to do. I'll see you in a bit. Oh, me grease. okay, here's where we're at. I haven't got enough room. Where the bell housing comes up, there's the firewall, or the bulkhead, not the bulkhead, but the firewall, the funnel of where the, I suppose, the transmission tunnel, right? And then that flares out, but where it flares is where the bulkhead, where the bell housing wants to go. So I'm trying to jack it up into position, and the bulkhead, I'm using the wrong terminology here, the firewall is pushing the whole gearbox ensemble via the bell housing into the engine before it can locate. So I've took the engine mounts off to try and lower the engine a little bit so that I've got more wiggle room. The most ideal solution would be to counter turn, sort of counterclockwise, 45 degrees, the gearbox, and put it in. And then, but that means taking the remote off and all the gear stick and everything again, and it means taking it out from under the, I'm being lazy and I'm not doing it. So what I'm trying to do is have a piece of metal between the end of the stub that needs to locate into the clutch and into the engine, a piece of metal like a pry bar in there, so that as I jack it up, it slides along that pry bar and not along the clutch and the pressure plate and all the rest of it. So it has a little bit of friction, and I'm trying to guide it into the little sphere of influence between the fingers of the between the fingers of the pressure plate, so that it can sit in there, and then I can worry about locating it afterwards. So I'm just cutting a piece of wood to help the jiggery pokery. Right, I apologise if you can't see very well, but this is the plan. So I've got the front end, the bell housing, on a piece of wood which has the jack underneath it. Right, what I'm going to do, because I have the leverage, I can lift this up by hand. I'm going to try and get this. This is just held up by this tube before here. This axle stand underneath here, or here, most ideally. And I want to try and get the back as high as I can and as solid as I can in situ. It's on a snap-on, like a mechanic's trolley, like a lie-down trolley. So when this is up, I can then jack it up and then sort of hopefully, in theory, wheel it forward and in. I mean, a man can dream. Here we go. Oh yes, look at that. Beautiful. I'll get the bolts in there, bolt that back up. Nice.